What the experts got wrong about the dollar's demise. Oh, I've been hearing about the death of the U.S. dollar for freaking decades, man. Did I even write about it in this book? I think I did. I think I wrote about it in this book. Louis Rukeyser. Remember Wall Street Week with Lou Rukeyser? I love Wall Street. I love Lou. He was great. Anyway, he had a guy. This is before my time, but I had to look back in time. In 1987, I can't remember, in the late 80s. It was after or before the black market, Black Monday. I forgot. But anyway, this guy from, I think it was Morgan Stanley, actually, and he's like, oh my goodness, this could be Yeah, I did write about this book. Let me see if I can't find it. Hold on a sec. So in the New York Times in 1909, August 14th, 1909, you can see right there. Costs more to live, prices going up, everything we eat and wear is advancing steadily with the end not in sight. Told in cold figures, Bradstreet's index of prices for 13 years shows rise in numerous foodstuffs 100%. And then we see over here, hold on a second. 1910 saw the highest price of hogs since 1882. Live hogs sold yesterday at the highest price since 1882, or 10 to 15 cents a 100-pound higher than on Wednesday, with indications of still higher prices. And that was before the Fed, by the way. And then in 1923, in the New York Times, dollar is on the slump again by 63% of what it did in 1913. Experts studying price fluctuations foresee a steady rise in the cost of living. All right. In the 1950s, the threat of inflation looms again as a darkening shadow upon the horizon of the American economy. A week later, a headline said, "Threat of inflation shadows the economy." The article goes on to explain, your dollar is looking slightly ill again, is losing some of its purchasing power, prices are on the rise, inflation is rearing its ugly head. Inflation at that time was 2%. Here's an article from 1983, newspaper declaring the inevitability of massive tax hikes or runaway inflation if Reagan won re-election. All right, it said, we're supposed to have a balanced budget. Instead, two things face us after the 84 elections, the most monumental tax increase in our history or runaway inflation that may engulf our economy as we know it. Yeah, right here. A week before the 1987 crash, the video from Wall Street Week, where a prominent financial maven spouts that massive deficits lead to higher debt, which ultimately lead to runaway inflation or crippling tax hikes or both. All right, so we've been hearing this for years and years and years, and they've been wrong. They've just been wrong, man. The dollar hasn't declined, but I can't buy as many carrots as I used to. We've been saying that for literally 100 years now. I mean, going back to 1880s. I talk about my book. You should buy it. 100%. It's great. It's a great run through history. All right, so here we go. This is Rick Kaler or Kaler, whatever. It's an odd guy. I don't have any problem with him, but an interesting guy out of South Dakota. This is what got me thinking about Rapid City, South Dakota, because he was advertising when I was looking at changing my career. He's in South Dakota. I said, man, South Dakota, what? I said, crazy. Anyway, he said, no, it's not as cold as you. He didn't say this to me specifically, but he says, it's not as cold as you think. I started looking. I said, I like it there, but a little bit too remote for me. Anyway, so the highlight of the pandemic recession, a June 22nd, 2020 headline in capitalist.com caught my eye. Dollar will plunge 35% and lose status as world reserve currency. All right, the dollar is on the verge of a 35% collapse. The author is Stephen Roach, and I remember Stephen Roach, a senior fellow at Yale, but he used to be the chairman of Morgan Stanley Asia, and he used to write a lot of good stuff, actually, big fan. Anyway, so he made similar statements in 2020, and the decline of the U.S. dollar could happen at warp speed. Given his tenure at Yale and Morgan Stanley, he's no slouch when it comes to credentials and credibility. But as it turned out, he was wrong. When he made the dire warnings on June 22nd, €1 was worth 113 of a dollar. A 35% in the value of the U.S. dollar would have seen a euro worth 153. Exactly 3 years later, a euro was worth 110. Instead of Roach's prediction of a loss of 35%, the dollar was actually 2.65% more. In fact, let's take a look, shall we? Now, the euro is worth 109 U.S. dollars after hitting, last year or so, right about there, we got even Steven with a euro for like a couple days. Where was it? Right about there. Anyway, so I forgot where it was. It wasn't there. It's right in here. It's right for a couple days we actually got to par. Now let's keep going because I think this is pretty interesting. All right. So now the euro was worth 110. Now it's worth 109. So the dollar's actually gone up even more in value. Similarly, one British pound was worth 125 in 2020. 3 years later, it's worth 128. Let's see what the euro or the dollar is to the British pound. And I forget how we, hold on a second. Today, one British pound still buys 128 of US dollars. I think we actually hit, yeah, we were down pretty low at the beginning of about a year ago. I remember that. That's right about there. Look at that, 113, 109, 107. Crazy. So we've gone up, but it's certainly, we're still back to where we were last year. Well, I mean, not last year, but in June of this year. All right, so investors who reacted with fear to Richard Roach's dire warning of a near-term epic downturn and took positions favoring a dollar decline end up getting, at best, a nothing burger, and at worst, a significant losses. In fact, I've even said that. I said, not a dollar decline. Let's go to year-to-date-return.com. Let's see how my prediction of the long-term bonds has gone here. Let's see. I haven't looked because I don't check every day because it's silly to check your stuff every day. Yeah, so I'm getting knocked around. My EDV is down 9% year to date. What's the long term? Hold on a sec. TGT, is that what it is? TGT, is that the long term? Well, that's Target, isn't it? Yeah, I don't care about Target. What's the long term? Hold on a sec. Let me find the long term. LT is down 4.88% so far this year, and really just taking on the chin. See, it went up, went down, went up, went down. It's gone down pretty big since. Yeah, it's down. Look at that, from right there to right there, it's getting hammered. I mean, so I've been wrong there too. I'm actually going to add to my position. I'm actually going to buy some Huntsman stock today, as a matter of fact. Huntsman Corporation, because I like the guy Huntsman, who runs Huntsman Oil Corporation. I guess mostly oil and things of that nature, out of the Woodlands, Texas. I saw a good article by him in the Wall Street Journal where he's not capitulating to the woke people. Now, look, I just buy round shares. 100 shares a pop, so I'm not going crazy. VTI is still my biggest holding. Still got a lot of cash in a money market account, and I still got EDV, which is a pretty big holding of mine. That's a long-term zero coupon government bond fund. I'm gonna double down there too for sure. Not double down, but I'm gonna buy some more because look, man, what's the point? Buying low and selling high. Could it still go lower? Sure, absolutely. The fruits of that labor are going to be pretty significant, in my opinion. Absolutely could be wrong. I mean, everybody's wrong. All right, anyway, so to Roach's credit, unlike many who make bad predictions, he acknowledged his massive miss 2 years later when he wrote, "I should have listened to Alan Greenspan. How did I get it so wrong?" Anyways, here is Paul Krugman. He provided a possible answer to that question. He discussed the unique position of the U.S. dollar as a primary currency for global transactions. He suggested the dollar's dominance is not due to any specific advantages the U.S. enjoys, but rather to the self-enforcing effects of the currency's widespread adoption. Well, that is literally a significant advantage to the dollar. Paul Krugman is a freaking idiot, man. The article also discussed the difficulties that other countries face in challenging the dollar's dominance, such as a lack of large second language speaker base or Chinese yuan and capital controls, whatever. The moral of the story is that even for experts, it's difficult to predict any future trend of any market, including currency, stocks, and interest. Stephen Roach is a respected economist with a long track record, but he was wrong about the dollar's future, 100%. So I want to go back to who actually owns the national debt. All right, so let's check this out. I think a lot of people miss this. Because remember, I talked about in a video the other day how China is selling its government bonds, U.S. government bonds. And the reason they're doing that is to try to prop up the yuan because the yuan is dropping in value. And as such, that makes it harder to have investment come in. We always want a strong dollar. Steve Forbes used to talk about this. Strong dollar. Then Trump, we got to lower interest rates. We got to weaken the dollar. We got to make our exports more favorable. We're never going to compete export-wise with China, Vietnam, Thailand, India. We're just not going to be. We can't, man. We can't compete with that unless we give up the dollar dominance. So we want a strong dollar. Strong dollar attracts capital investment. For sure it does. It makes imports cheaper. We're importing stuff. So basically what a strong dollar means is we're exporting our inflation to other countries. And this is what I talk about in this book right here. We export our inflation to other countries. Now, they're still got the inflation. We still have some, don't get me wrong. I mean, look at the price of services. Services gone up because we can't export services, but we can export products, which is what we've done in terms of exporting the manufacturing. I mean, it is what it is, man. You can gripe all day long. It was better in the old days. I'm so sick of hearing that crap. I'm like, dude, whatever, okay. Anyway, so who owns our debt? And I think a lot of people don't understand. Right here, all right? Right here, debt total, this is 31 trillion as of January 2023. I think it's 33 trillion now. Intergovernment holdings, debt held by the public, all right? But intergovernment holdings, All right, so let's look right here. U.S. security types by debt, security holders by debt. Federal government, whoa, look at that. 9.2 trillion of the 31 trillion back then was held by the federal and government. Federal government. Mutual funds. 4 trillion of the 31 trillion was held by mutual funds. Depository institutions, banks, mutual funds. That's the foreign countries right there. 7.57 is held by, so if we take our trusty calculator, 31 divided by 7, 7 divided by 31, excuse me. Foreign governments hold 22% of our debt, that's it. We hold the vast majority. Mutual funds, depository institutions, where's insurance companies? And insurance companies right there. Who's this up here? Other. State and local governments, I mean, we own our own debt for the most part. So even if China were to sell their debt, it just, in fact, I think they even say on here, who's the biggest foreign holder of our debt? I think it's Japan still. Japan or the UK. Yeah, right here. Japan, yep, right there. 1 trillion. The Chinese only own 870 billion, dudes. 870 billion divided by 31 trillion, they own 2.8% of our debt. So even if they were to freaking, sell rapid fire, it's just, I don't know. Stop this idea with the dollar collapsing. And then people say, but I'm not talking about relative to other currencies. I'm talking about, well, that a dollar collapsing is relative to other currencies, which makes our imports more expensive. It's just basic economics. When our dollar declines, and inherently against other currencies, it makes it more expensive to buy stuff that other countries sell us. And when our dollar is strong, that means our dollar buys more of what they're selling us. We're literally exporting our inflation to these other countries. You got to understand this. So if the dollar declines, it means every single cheap phone that we buy, every single crap that we buy is going to be more expensive. That's what a dollar decline means, without question. A strong dollar means those things are cheaper. Now, again, we're exporting our manufacturing jobs and we're importing I get all that. And you can argue on a different video if you want, if that's good or bad. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. That's happening right now. So the fact that the dollar gets stronger means our imports are cheaper. This is just a fact. It's just basic economics 101, my friends. Now, you could say, yeah, but the goods we have to buy here that are produced locally are more, because that's true. That's 100% true. And the reason for that is wages. I mean, you know how much it costs to take trees down? You know how much it costs to freaking do various things around your house that either you could do if you have the skill set, well, it's still going to take time, or you can hire out. Well, those guys got to get paid, and they got to get paid in American wages for American labor. And that ain't cheap. I get it. That ain't cheap. That's services. And again, I talk about it in my book. You can see right here, if you go to page, what page was that? Hold on a sec. That's of 2009, but you can see import shares of personal consumption expenditures by major type of product. And what you'll see is up, you can see what the first pointy thing is there. We changed our imports from 2.6% of all goods to 16.5, a freaking, what is that, 13.9 times. We increased our imports by 13.9%, by times. It's crazy, whatever that is. It's nuts how much more that was. Our services, look at the second arrow. We only increased our services by 0.1. Our services are stuff that you can't import. You have to do locally. And because of that, we pay more for our service. I think I got another thing here on that. Yeah, right there. We have to pay more for services. Yeah, right there. So you can see right here. Contributions to percent change, average annual growth of shares of personal consumption expenditures. Remember, the GDP, 70% of GDP is personal consumption expenditures. And GDP is the growth of our economy. Now, we can argue against it all day long. I don't care. It is what it is. Anyway, you can see right there. So you see right there, goods went down by 22%, where services went up by 22%. Why? Because the price of goods fell because we're importing those. We've exported our inflation. The price of services went up because they can't be exported. We have to get a guy to paint our house. We got to get a guy to fix our car. And those guys are going to charge American wages. And that's good. So we've exported our inflation for goods, which we all buy, and we've not exported our stuff for services, which we use, go see the doctor, get your tooth pulled, all that stuff. All right, so that's where this works, man. It's a fine line, but if you like your stuff shipped to you on Amazon, you can thank that we have a strong dollar. That's just a fact. That's just fact. All right, I love your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe. And the doobie dook, I got my email list. Subscribe down there below. And if you want a copy of my book, every now and again, actually, I think right that's what $9.99. I can't remember how much it costs. You should buy it. You get the hard copy or the paperback. You're gonna want to take notes, dudes. Get the paperback, and it's on Audible too if you like to listen to stuff. All right, we'll see you.